guys? Glad to have all my wisdom seekers here. I'm here with the absolutely fabulous Asif Khan from CareMerge. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. Nice to be here.
Well, it's great having you here. I love what you're doing around the globe. In a nutshell, what is CareMerge?
So CareMerge is a care coordination and transitions platform. We provide mobile and web apps for senior living communities as a starting point so they can coordinate care among themselves and with families and with the offsite stakeholders like your doctors, your physicians, your hospitals. So the fundamental premise of CareMerge is there's one patient in the middle and there are a whole bunch of people providing care for them.
Yep.
And they all should see what each other are doing and communicate with each other, exchange information, and chat in a HIPAA compliant manner in real time. So really the right information at the right time for the right provider so they can make the right choice and the right decision for the patient.
Okay, so where did this idea come from?
Well, so my background is healthcare IT. So I spent roughly about 10 years with GE, especially in GE healthcare IT in a global product management role. So, as part of a global role, you want to make sure that you're writing white papers or bringing up concepts that in healthcare IT so you can exchange information, make healthcare more efficient in a way with respect to processes.
Right, right.
So that's my background. But then, my parents, I don't know if you know, but they volunteer in developing countries. So just building hospitals and orphanages and whatnot in the middle of nowhere. So my mom got put on ventilators, and it took me 3 days to get there. And my dad was flipping paper. He didn't know what her medications were or which doctor she was seeing. So I was really upset with him. But he asked me something that just kind of was an awakening moment for me, per se, which was really, hey, Asif, do you know which medications you took 3 months ago, right? You're in the US, you're a global product manager at a big company.
Right.
How do you do this stuff? So I was like, wait, that's a very good point. As much as we are advanced from a technology perspective in the US, when it comes to accessing the right information at a critical time or a point or a transition of your care, we're as backwards as a developing country, right? So that was the time when I kind of came back. My mom is doing well, so I came back. I resigned and I started CareMerge with that concept that you should have the right information about the right patient at the right time, so providers can make timely care decisions.
Right. I think that's an excellent point. It's a lot of people say, hey, we could do this and we could do that and we could put a man on the moon. Why can't we do this? And until someone like you comes along and says, hey, I've actually walked in these shoes, I've walked these steps, and I see an actual practical use for technology in this manner. That's how innovation happens. So I can see from me going into the retirement centers and working with geriatric care managers, when a crisis hits, there's a real problem. And I'm sure you probably have a number of stories about that. I mean, with your mom, but it's still happening. That I see a crisis hits and then everyone says, oh my gosh, where should I turn? And we've got to get the message about your application and your software out there really soon. So let me ask you this. When you talk to businesses, what are some of the problems that they have when they come to you?
Well, in senior living and just in general in healthcare as well, but focusing on senior living, well, imagine 100-bed building where there are about 100 elderly, and then there are about 80 to 100 people providing care for them, right? 24 hours over 3 shifts.
Wow, yeah.
Right, that's your logistical nightmare in itself. Add to that complexity that most of these employees are really non-skilled or unskilled, to be precise, and very much like minimum wage workers. So that's one problem. Then the other problem is it's considered as the second most regulated industry in the United States after nuclear power plants. I mean, so they have to do a lot of compliance, a lot of paperwork. And then it's because of the lack of trust and communication with families, of the residents that they're living there, the lawsuits or the risk of litigation is very high, from hundreds of thousands to even millions of dollars. And then market differentiation is very fragmented, right? I mean, you go around in a 5-mile radius, see a senior living community, but there's really no differentiation that they can really bring to market. It's all ends up, oh, we're home-like and we're more about, activities, but, everybody says that.
Yeah.
So those are all the top of mind challenges with senior living communities, and not to mention now with the Accountable Care Act, new measures of payments are coming in place, right? So how do you value your residents, satisfaction? How do you value your family's, satisfaction? Because eventually we're gonna obviously start to get paid that way, and managed care organizations are coming. So it's a very, transitioning dynamic environment, and those are top of mind issues. And with CareMerge, what we say is, look, we give you and your staff extremely simple mobile and web apps. So it's integrated into the staff's workflow. So staff is not going to go somewhere and walk to this hallway and do something that's like outside of their workflow. As they do it, we have voice recognition built in. We have simple tagging. With the touch of a button, you can capture a whole, note. So it just makes it really simple for staff to, use our solution. And as they use it and as they capture information based on how they capture and how they tag it, we have algorithms built in the system that automatically kicks out messages to whether it's a family member or whether it's a physician, whether whoever it is. So again, right information about the right patient at the right time to the right provider, so they can make the right choices.
Heck yeah.
So really getting to that point. So that's really what we have, and our customers really love us. Every time we go to a customer site, it's always that all the nurses, they come around and give us a hug, and
I can imagine. Well, let me ask you this. I know the businesses, once they have had hands-on experience with your product, they must love the changes, and it sounds like you've made it really easy for them on both ends.
Right.
What should, just in general, an end user, so an adult child comes to a skilled nursing or assisted living, besides the activities, it seems like they're all sort of, no one's differentiating. They're just saying, okay, we have this activity or these shuttle buses. What do you think someone should be looking for when it comes to their parents' long-term care? Should they be looking for facilities that have these technological systems built in?
Right. Well, I think I would think of it about, like I said with my story, like my parents. The most heart-wrenching part about this is, we have our parents helped raise us to this point. Every night we had dinner with them, right? And now it's our turn, right? But the challenge is that we, in our society in this day and age, it's very complicated, right? We got me and my wife has jobs, we have kids. So when it comes to when our parents growing older, now it's our turn. We just really don't have a choice. So then you say, okay, what are my options, right? I mean, obviously, to your point, you can put them in a senior living facility, and hopefully they take care of them on a daily basis. But then really thinking about it, look, my 3-year-old can open up Netflix and watch movies anywhere in the world. We can take a check and deposit it with our bank accounts anywhere in the world. We can book, sports tickets anywhere we want, check the status on our games. Yeah. We do all that.
All of it.
Right? Sure thing. We do all that. It's not far-fetched. We use it. This is a part of our daily lives. We can't live without it. So the thought process, that begs the question, why not the same thing about my dad or my mom, right? My mom is getting some care, and my dad is getting some care. Why can't I get feeds, just like in Facebook, oh, this is what's going on, this is what's going on, and why don't I just get that? Why don't all my siblings and all my cousins get that for my mom?
Right.
And that's really what we're bringing to the table.
Yeah, and I love that because you really speak for sort of the average professional. So you're married, you have kids, you're working full time, and you want to just stay in the communication loop with your parents who need some extra help at this time. So I think it's brilliant. So can you share with us any sort of makeover stories about a senior living facility that was without, and then they added on your application, and and then they had this wonderful experience?
Oh, absolutely. So, one of the things that we do as part of our solution is, there's so many different capabilities in it. But one thing is really, activities that everybody puts a lot of effort and time on in setting up these activities. But, when families, they go, put their elderly in, they don't realize that they really have no mechanism in remembering what your dad likes. Because out of the 100 people, he maybe likes 3 things in a day, but, who knows, where your dad stands on a particular day. But anyway, so our technology is, senior living community activities team, they can register residents based on their interest. And whenever their activity is about to start, residents actually get a personalized voice message. So they pick up the phone, hey, Asif, this is your activities team at such and such senior living community. Come join us in the lunch room. Your activity bingo is starting in 30 minutes. So that's number one problem that's solved for the elderly, because they forget, they have these paper calendars that they don't know where to put in. It's too tiny text. A lot of times they're like on vacation. They don't know what day it is. So this helps them remember what it is that they need to do, so they do it. This saves, by the way, tons of time for the activities people, because imagine they're calling all these people trying to remember. So anyways, once they do it, their residents come in and, activities team, they basically capture their attendance, whether active, passive, and whatnot. And as soon as they capture it, family members get notified via our app, and whether, they, at their choice, they can log in and they can see what's going on with the family members. So, and historically, we have been sending them emails, family members as well, because sometimes they just don't log in. So in that case, if you can just imagine the delight. So I'm in my office, I'm in a meeting, and all of a sudden a message comes up and I see, oh, Dad is playing Wii Sports right now. Oh, great. I wish I was doing that. I'm stuck in this thing, right? So it was just a phenomenal experience for the families. And a lot of times what ends up happening is when a community starts using these types of things, and family members start calling them. I mean, they never call the executive director or the director of nursing, telling them, hey, how wonderful that is. But ever since they roll our solution, they start getting these family calls. Hey, by the way, we get these emails from you guys. Thank you so much for keeping us updated on this. This is fantastic. And one time, I think they didn't take attendance or something happened and they didn't take, a proper log. And some of the family members, they called and they're like, hey, is my mom okay? Because, she goes to this event every Wednesday, but I didn't get my email. And what's going on? So, I think it really brings the trust. We call it simulated proximity, because a lot of us are, for the elderly, they're all over the world and sometimes all over the country. So no matter where you are, it's always really nice to know what the community and all the hard work they're doing, because communities do so much work that the families never get to see. But you know what? With this app, now they get to see all the stuff that communities are doing. Family members really get to see and appreciate it on a day-to-day basis, and it just again helps build the trust, opens up communication lines, so your loved one that's there is taken care of, not only with the staff but also with the families.
Let me ask you this: what about the attrition rate for senior living? Do you think having an application like yours helps keep residents in the same home?
I think, to be honest with you, we're gonna, so far, we haven't really checked that metric, but it's a good point to check. What we have seen is the engagement on the family side increases, and the residents are more satisfied because they're reminded automatically. And then a lot of family members, they actually have a lot to talk to their parents about, right? Think about it. If I know my dad didn't eat his breakfast very well, and he attended these 2 events, when I call him, I know exactly what's going on, right? So, hey, Dad, why didn't you eat it seems like, are you okay with your breakfast? Or what's up with that? Or, I see you're not attending as many things. It just opens up, rather than just calling, hey, Dad, how are you doing? I'm fine. And you're trying to figure out what else you talk about. You actually have things that you can talk about. So we don't necessarily have that data to really come out and tell you that yes, they will. But I can tell you this data point. We have a couple of communities that are primarily Medicare, Medicaid, and they were struggling to get private pays in the building, obviously, to help. And once we rolled out our solution, their private pay census increased, and they have they have a waiting list. So obviously, there's something that is tied to CareMerge. It's a fantastic community to begin with, and I think this just adds more for the families to kind of really look forward to having their parents there, because nowhere else, they get this type of information.
Right, and it doesn't just, moving the senior in it doesn't stop there. I think what changes, and I think there will be more metrics on the attrition, is involving the family, because it's such a bigger deal. It's such a bigger process than just the senior, and so just having that engagement is just a win-win, I think, on both sides. So let's leave the audience with this.
Okay.
After you've set up, you have a brand new customer. Maybe they're a little bit hesitant. They're going to buy this new product, and you set it up, and they've had an experience. What are some of the adjectives that they've described your product with after they've had a great experience with it? What are some of the great things they've said?
Well, a lot of them, quite a few nurses come up to us and say, "Oh, I love you."
There you go.
Things like that. Pulls your mind away. It's like, okay, we're good, right? And things like, "Where have you been for the past 15 years?" We get comments like that. A lot of, it's one of those things that we've seen that they just can't really describe the excitement or the enjoyment of our solution, because they're just so ecstatic about it that they're just like, what can I even say to this, right? And then they end up saying, "Oh, where have you been for the past 15 years?" Right?
Okay, that's awesome. Hey, that's a great thing. I love you, and where have you been all my life? What more could you want? So, hey, Asif, I hate to end it here, but you provided some valuable insight to CareMerge, and you guys, I want you to check it out. So, if your parents are in senior living, and call the senior living, or next time you're by, see if they have CareMerge, see what kind of technology they have, because not only does it help your parent, it helps you. It helps you with your busy life. So check it out, and thank you once again. Bye, Asif.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, you. Where are you going? Stick around for another video. Left or right? Left or right? Hey, don't forget to subscribe.